Hello, everyone. Good evening. How are you all doing? Welcome to Marcelo Simon Night Show. Tonight, I have an honor to be able to join by a very man that I adore, that I love a lot. In 1993, he was the chairman of SASCO at UGW, and he became the president of the African National Congress Youth League. He's the former Minister of Home Affairs, he's the former Minister of Public Enterprises, and he's the former Minister of Finances. Tonight, it's an honor to be able to be joined by the one and only Honorable Malusi Gigaba. Good evening, sir. How are you?
Good evening to you, and good evening to your listeners, your viewers, wherever they are. I'm fine, thank you very much. And how do you do?
I'm doing very much okay, and of course, excited to be joined by you. I really love you, and I appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I'm humbled.
I've just briefly tried to explain the role that you have contributed to the society, to the nation as a whole. Um, at a young age, while growing up, have you ever imagined yourself being a great leader in a great position of power, which you later became?
You know, I never thought one would occupy the positions I've occupied and play the role that I have played. I wanted to become a teacher. I trained as a teacher. And I suppose that's an even much more bigger leadership responsibility because you are involved in grooming the future. The teachers are like the foundation for any society. They complement the work that parents do at home, the work that religious institutions also do in developing the brains and skills of the young, assisting the young to find themselves, inculcating good social values among young people. So I imagined my leadership role in that respect as a teacher rather than politics. I think politics, being a leader in politics, sort of happened all by itself, and mostly thanks to the youth of the ANC and the students' organizations in which I participated, such as SANSCO, SASCO, the Young Christian Students, the Education Students Society at University of Durban, Westville, because it was at that level that one was really groomed for leadership.
Uh, yes, that's very great, sir. So, like you in your youth days, you have played a lot of dozens massive roles. And for an example, you were the chairman at UDW in 1993.
Yes.
What inspired you to play so much roles and to go navigate through all the challenges to the great leadership positions of power that you were in?
We, when I became chairperson of SASCO in 1993, I had just contested elections, SRC elections the previous year under the banner of SASCO, during which all 12 SASCO candidates made it into the SRC except me. So we were 13 on the list, and the only one who wasn't elected on the SRC, and therefore I've never been on the SRC. And I always make this, cite this example to illustrate the point that one, downfall does not mean the end of your career. It can get resuscitated in other ways, because it could very well be that I was perhaps destined for the direction which I took. I don't know what direction my career would have taken had I been elected on the SRC, and undertaken those responsibilities. But what inspired our generation to participate in politics was our desire to contribute towards liberating South Africa. We were extremely angry at the apartheid system. It had destroyed Black lives, it had destroyed Black societies and communities. Many among my generation grew up without knowing their parents, without their siblings, for a variety of reasons. Either they were working in the mines, the farms, they were in exile, they were in the underground, they were in prison, they were running, or just families were dysfunctional because of the lack of economic opportunities as a result of the apartheid system. So our desire really was to change South Africa and make it a better country. And that's why we participated in the struggle. In the course of that, we developed different skills. And those skills were identified by those who were ahead of us, who then helped to channel us through nurturing and grooming, mentorship in the directions that we eventually took. So even for me, all the leadership responsibilities I've played did not owe to any campaigning on my part for those positions. It didn't owe to me being better than anybody else. It was because the youth at different levels decided to elevate me and make me the person that I eventually became. And so the adults, the elderly in the struggle, in the movement, would recognize me out of recognition that I would have already received from young people, be it at university or in the structures of the youth movement in general. I'm struggling to hear you.
Sorry, sir. That's powerful, sir. Like a lot of people, including myself, we see you as Honorable Malusi Gigaba, the great politician. But how your life looked like when we remove the political curtains and try to figure out how does your life look like.
I was fortunate to be raised by two strong parents, both of whom, in their respective roles, were playing the roles of service. My mother was a nurse, and so she was serving people in hospital. My father was a priest, and so he was serving people through the church. And they inculcated in me a value of humility. I learned from my father. I always say I will one day write a book about the leadership lessons I got from my father, who taught me to be a strong man for his family, to care for his children, and to give their all to ensure that their children are raised up well, they are safe, they are protected, they are taught the correct values. And so when you ask me who I am beyond politics, I'm a son, I think a great son at that. I respect my parents deeply. I'm a sibling and a great sibling who loves his sisters. I'm an elder son at home, Inkosana. And my father taught me that being Inkosana is not a responsibility that you are merely born with. It comes with, it's not a right, it's not an elevation you are merely born with. It comes with enormous responsibilities you must fulfill among your siblings and in the household as a whole. But I'm also a father. I'm a great father. I will admit it myself. So I'm a person who loves reading, spends a lot of time in his study, reading, writing, trying to accumulate as much knowledge as possible.
As much as you talk about reading, and I just think you also love I remember one of the days making a speech in Parliament. You quoted Kendrick Lamar.
During the budget of 2018.
Yes. So,
It was
what
it
genre
was
of
an
music you
appropriate
listen
quote.
to, Sam?
Look, I subscribe to different genres of music.
Mm,
I really subscribe to different genres of music. I love South African music more than any other. I think that the South African youth have at different stages produced a great cultural movement. From the pata pata of the youth of the 1950s to Amapanzula in the 1980s, to Kwaito in the 90s, leading to 2000s, the development of South African hip hop. We've got household names among South African hip hop artists, to Amapiano now, Igom. So I subscribe to different genres of music. I listen to all of them. I think Amapiano are great if you are working out. If you are working out, play Amapiano, Baba. You're gonna pump it. You're gonna pump that workout. Yeah, and even internationally. I mean, I love South African jazz, especially your old jazz from the jazz ministers, African jazz pioneers, Zex Nkosi, Abdullah Ibrahim, Abo Baba Hugh Masigela, to Afro jazz, Abu Babu Kefa Simenya, Mamule Tambulu, Afro pop, Abu Mamu Miriam Makeba. So I wouldn't say that I've got one particular genre of music that I listen to. I listen to all of them. Yeah, I love gospel. I love gospel songs, different gospel songs. So yeah,
of course, you have to love gospel. You are from a Christian family. If I'm not
of
making a
course.
mistake, your brother is a pastor. So,
Yeah, my father was an Anglican priest.
oh, yeah.
Yes.
Um, Sam, you said that you were a teacher by profession. You were a teacher by profession. So, have you ever been in class and tried to teach before you got yourself deep into politics?
I only taught during teaching practice, which was 2 weeks during my second year, 2 weeks during my third year, and 6 weeks during my final year. That's the only time I was in a classroom teaching. Um,
Mhm.
so I never really spent even a year teaching. Immediately upon completing my teacher's degree, my junior teacher's degree, I did my master's degree, and soon thereafter, I became involved full time into politics, and I've been in full time politics ever since.
Um, so, like, you just um, used that 4 years to accumulate the degree that you never implemented. Wow.
Look, nobody actually, let me not say nobody, many people don't practice the jobs they studied for. You find
Mm.
someone being an engineer by qualification and a financial director by profession. You find people who are lawyers by profession, but they are occupying managerial positions, political positions. So there is nothing peculiar really or exceptional with me. It's just in the nature of life. I think the education system must be such that it doesn't channel you towards a single particular career. It must be broad enough, on the one hand, to teach you the skills for which you are studying, but on the other hand, to enable you to be versatile, because you've got to be different from someone who's not obtained a university degree. And I think during our time in the 90s at the University of Durban, Westville, we were really very fortunate to be taught by some of very open-minded, progressive, struggling lecturers who encouraged us to think laterally and encouraged us to debate, to argue, develop our experiences and skills. And they would also interact with us, even in the students' movements, not just to tell us what to do, but to groom us, to sharpen our thinking, to make us better leaders for the responsibilities we were occupying. And I think it bode well for the future.
No, that's very wonderful and powerful, sir. So, like, allow me to say that we all have our dark days in life. I also have my dark days, and someone else watching us is or her own dark days. In saying that, what were your dark days in life, and how do you manage to endure them?
Hmm. Very interesting, because after 50 years, you've gone through a lot. You've gone through a lot. The moments when my brother, my only brother, passed away in 2004, and I got the call from my dad. I was in Uppington that night on an election campaign. You can imagine, I couldn't sleep. It was something I had not expected at all. I couldn't sleep
Mm,
that night. I was distraught. I was broken. I was gutted. The following year, my sister passed away, my youngest sister. Also through a car accident. I was in Northwest. I got a call from my dad to say, "Son, wherever you are, rush to Johannesburg. Apparently, your sister is fatally wounded." That 3 hour trip was most difficult. It was painful, extremely painful, and to arrive and see my sister on the scene, it was painful. So there have been many of these, not only relating to death, family tragedies, personal tragedies. There have also been challenging times in politics, including most recently when one had to go through resigning from cabinet in 2018, facing up to all sorts of spurious charges, allegations, having to answer to things which at times I thought were really extremely personal, that should not have been brought to the public scene. So there have been many of those, but I think what have kept me abreast, my head above the water, is the support, the sheer support I've received from ordinary South Africans, the strength and values that were inculcated in me growing up. But as I say, above everything else, the overwhelming support that one receives from ordinary South Africans who are in politics, who are not in politics, it's been incredible.
I'm really sorry, say you had to go through that. Um, One man once said to me that the challenges that you are going through, they make us more and more wiser. So I hope in everything that you are going through, we learn a lot of lessons and we become more and more wise and strong.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why they say, with age comes wisdom, because there are things that you can be intelligent about at school,
Mm,
um, among your friends, but there are things which just are simple wisdom. Wisdom is not learned from a textbook. It's accumulated in life, in life's experiences. And that's why when you seek advice, you don't go to people who are younger than you and people who are your age group. You go to people who are older, because they will say to you, "You know what, son, in 19 whatever, this happened. This is what I learned. Now, this is what I suggest you do, because your experiences, believe me, other people have gone through them and even worse."
Oh, Sam, as a father, as a son to your parents, and as a brother to your siblings, what drives you, Sam, to continuously work hard despite the odds, the difficulties that you are encountering daily?
I think it's your dreams, your ambitions.
Mm,
It's the confidence that you see other people having in you.
mm,
When you see other people having confidence in you, when you have people who look up to you um, as an exemplar, you then realize the immensity of the responsibility you carry. Some people carry a heavy burden, not just as collectives, but even as individuals. If you break down, all of these people who look at you as a mentor, as an idol, who follow you, they also will learn to do that. When they see you weak and vulnerable, they then learn that there are circumstances like those which will break them, and some of them may not be able to recover. You've got to, in accepting that responsibility of being a leader, a mentor, an example, you've got to also learn that whatever circumstances that you face, you fight hard to overcome, so that you teach those who are looking up to you that they too must not allow themselves to be defeated by any circumstances. As I said earlier when we started, in 1992, I got defeated in an SRC election. I could have been distraught, and I could have, given up. But a few months later, I was chairperson of SASCO at a branch level, and 4 years later, I was elevated to the position of president of the ANC Youth League, a far bigger responsibility in the youth movement, far above any in South Africa. And so you look at your immediate setbacks not as permanent and enduring, but it is in your spectacular recovery that many people also derive hope, courage, and confidence that they also can overcome whatever circumstances that they are facing.
yes. Um, Out of everything that you have been through, out of all the positions of power that you have held, out of all the countries, United States, Kenya, and every other countries you travel to, doing the meetings and making sure that us as South Africans, we have a better country, we have a safer community, we have a good economy, making sure that all the tourists are able to come into the country to do business. We are able to go outside the country to do business with them. What is the greatest lesson that you learned?
The greatest lesson I've learned is that loyalty to your people is the biggest asset. Whatever you do, you must do it for your people. Whatever it takes, whatever it demands on you physically, mentally, emotionally, you need to devote yourself wholeheartedly to the people that you serve. And you need to be consistent and principled, because in the end, principles will help you cross any rivers, dams, lakes, and even oceans. People who lack principle stand on this position today, and tomorrow, when circumstances change, they also change. People with principle will stand on those principled positions, come what may, regardless of the consequences to them. That has been the greatest lesson for me: service to our people above everything else.
You are a man who loves education, sir, and you are educated. You have qualification in education and social policy, if I'm not making a mistake.
Yes. Yes.
So, and saying that how important education it is according to your own perspective.
I think many people have spoken about the importance of education. I mean, from the very first time that education was introduced in the gymnasiums of Greece in ancient times, up to today, from the time that different African scholars who became mathematicians, architects, physicians, who were teaching at the universities of Timbuktu, they all understood that education is vital in shaping the young and preparing them for the future. Remember that youth are not tomorrow's leaders. Youth are today's leaders. They lead today and must be prepared for that responsibility, whether they lead in their, among their circle of friends, in religious institutions, in their classrooms, at their schools, on their campuses. They are already exercising leadership, which needs to be nurtured and mentored and channeled in the right direction, so that when the future shall come, the country, the people, and the world are not confronted with an inexperienced leadership that do not know how to navigate the responsibilities of leadership or to apply the principles of leadership in their daily lives and daily endeavors. So education plays that important role. It opens your mind. It enables you to understand different fields, different disciplines, to be able as a student of sociology to argue economics, to understand physics, to debate issues of health, be it HIV and AIDS, or issues of COVID-19, the vaccinations. Education broadens your mind in that fashion. And that is why we even have people who may not have gone through formal education systems, but because they learn, they are continuously learning. They become organic intellectuals that provide enormous leadership to the nation. We've had plenty of those, and we still do. So we need to value certainly the right for parents who not afford will be funded in the future as the economy grows, government is able to collect more revenues so that we can give more opportunities to young people. I was talking to one young person this evening who is completing a junior degree at the University of Pretoria. And I asked her if she intended pursuing her honors levels. She said to me, providing she gets the funding. I think that our education system must be funded in such a manner that it enables those who want to do further education to be able to pursue it without bothering about how they are going to pay for their honors, their masters, and even PhD levels. Because the more PhDs we have, it means that the more research output emerges out of our country, which bodes well for commerce and industry, for trade, for politics, for every aspect of our lives. So we need to look at education not only as a nice to have, but as an important mission of the nation through which we prepare our leadership for the roles that they will play today and tomorrow. But we need to inculcate among them an anti-colonial mindset, because the difficulty we have right now with our education system is that it's very mired along the colonial frame of the colonial framework, which still viewed black people as non-inventors, as subservient economically and socially to the white group globally. So that even if you fight racism in South Africa, you are still confronted by racism globally. And therefore, you need to assert a confident young generation that is learning about Africa, that is grasping African science, African knowledge, and uses that to launch themselves as equals among the peoples of the world.
No, that's really powerful, sir. So, what advice can you give to students who are just coming to varsity, joining politics and activism?
I would say to them that activism is extremely important. We're fortunate in South Africa that the South African youth are very politically conscious, and many of them are politically active. I've seen on the local government election posters of many political organizations, many young people, some of whom just graduated last year from university. Some are serving in the provincial legislatures, others are serving in the National Assembly and the National Council of Provinces. This is what we need, a dynamic young leadership which is going to infuse the dynamism of the young, the versatility of the young, with the wisdom and the experience of the old. And that will make political parties dynamic, and it will make our political system and social system to be very dynamic. The same needs to apply in the world of work, because the skills you learn in the students' movement can and will be applied generally as a life skill, even in the corporate to to try as much as possible to accumulate so that and accumulate can use to draw the active in fact that your BMS students and organizations of that nature.
Sir, I don't know it's on my side or what, but you were cutting for about a minute.
Oh boy.
So
I don't know, because no, I was concluding by saying on the previous question that it's very important that young people participate, become active in students' organizations, whether those students' organizations are politically inclined, or those students' organizations are their faculty societies, the departmental clubs, and even other organizations, students' organizations like your forum, student forum, and organizations of that nature, because that enables them to develop skills beyond the classroom experience. And they then accumulate leadership skills through praxis.
no, thanks, sir. In closure, Sam, what advice in 10 seconds, what advice you have for South African young people?
I would say that first, the country has great faith in them. They need to rise up as a generation to show us what they are capable of and what is the mission of their generation. South Africa's most important challenge today is economic emancipation. And we would like to see young South Africans to propound radical ideas for economic transformation beyond the westernized economic policies which they imbibe in their lecture halls. We want to hear more heterodox thinking in terms of our economic and social transformation. And I would like to wish all students who are about to sit for exams, be they learners or university students, I would like to wish all of you the best of luck. But remember that best of luck never made anybody pass exams. I can give you the best of luck. If you sleep and not study, you're going to fail. I can say to you, worst of luck, I wish you failure. But if you studied and prepared yourself for exams, you will pass. So best of luck to all of you. Work hard. The country has great faith in you. Your best is yet to come.
Oh, thanks. Just before you go, I just want to read your quote. You made it in Kenya one day when you're having an interview with a lady there. You said every African should invest in the education of our children. We must never accept any excuse for why our children should not go to school because the future belongs to them. And we need to develop their leadership competencies and all role competencies in order to be able fully to take charge of the future. And if we did that, it will be the greatest inheritance we will leave them as empowered, educated, skilled individuals. They will be able to reconnect with Africans' minerals wealth. They will be able to take full charge of our political, economic, and security destiny and make Africa finally totally liberated. With those words there, I say thank you for sharing them with us and coming to my platform. Everything that you do, I wish you all the best. And I still believe that God has much bigger plans than what He already has done through you. And despite everything that you are going through, and I still believe that God can use you much more greater in saying that everything that you do, may it turn to become gold and diamond.
Thank you so very much.
Thanks. It's a good night from myself.
Good night to you.
Thanks everyone for joining me. My name is Marcel Simon, the boss with sense. Joining you next time again. If you love this interview and you learned a lot, subscribe to my YouTube channel and like my Facebook page and share with it to your friends. Bless you.